very first recording of the Alternative Route video series. I'm Colleen Fay, partner in our financial services group here at Withum. We're thrilled to have you with us as we start out on this journey into the intricacies of the world of alternative investments. Today we're kicking things off with a fantastic guest, Ed Keck, partner in our cyber practice here at Withum. He's going to share some insights on cybersecurity and its impact within financial services. So let's dive right in and get ready for some insightful conversation. Hi, Ed. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Colleen. My pleasure.
Let's start off with some trends that you're seeing in cybersecurity in general right now.
So in cybersecurity generally, we're continuing to see a significant trend or uptick in ransomware, as well as funded hack division, right? And what I mean by that, it sounds there's a buzzword in there, right? That everyone kind of goes, well, what's that? But we're actually seeing hacking as a business, okay? And anywhere that you see PII, personally identifiable information, where you see business transactions taking place, and what I mean by that is mergers, acquisitions, we're seeing this uptick in hacking activities. We're also seeing a lot of, as I said, ransomware, and that ransomware and those hacking activities and the email phishing, email compromise is starting to move from the larger firms down to smaller firms of all different types.
I know we've definitely seen some of that within mergers and acquisitions is very relevant to our financial services clients. Of what you've mentioned, where do you see some of those things directly impacting the financial services industry?
So impacting the financial services industry specifically, when I think about that, mergers and acquisitions not only of financial services organizations, okay, but also when firms are acquiring private equity firms or that are acquiring organizations, we're seeing a number of things. Number one, we're seeing an uptick in hacking activity against those organizations when they announce a merger or a potential acquisition or a potential funding round, because the hackers think, oh, you've taken your eye off of the general blocking and tackling of your business, right? And you're going to be much more susceptible because this is a time frame where you're really under the gun. Okay, so we're seeing that type of trend. We're seeing also a lot of email compromise where the hackers have become really good at hiding their emails, and they're now much less detectable to kind of the naked eye, right? They look a lot like a real email. They're very easy to convince you that you should respond to this. So those are areas where we're seeing upticks. You always see the people knocking on the door, the scanning of websites, things like that. But those two areas specifically we've seen hackers become very aggressive.
From your experience with all these things, what do you think companies can be doing to be proactive and better prepared for that type of attack or concern?
Yeah, this really comes down to what I would call, first and foremost, cyber hygiene or security hygiene. What you want to do is have the basic blocking and tackling pieces in place, right? And when I think of that, and what I mean by that is, it's and the reason we call it cyber hygiene is it's the basics, right? It's the things you should do every day. So you should have email filtering in place. You should have endpoint protection in place, right? There should be something running on all of your laptops and your workstations that protects your organization. You should have firewalls in place on your network, okay? You should be controlling access and making sure that when people leave the organization or change jobs, their access is either eliminated and removed if they leave, or it's changed and they don't keep the access to the old information because they don't need it anymore, right? So make sure people only have access to what they really need to do their job. The other thing I would say is, especially when we start talking about ransomware, right? Make sure that you have backups and they're verified backups, and you have the ability to recover. You have to test that. Because if you don't, you're at the mercy of the ransomer, okay? Also, it's very important, whether it's ransomware or any other type of cyber event, you should have a tested incident or crisis response plan. And you have to know who you're going to call first, who's going to handle your digital forensics, who's going to handle your response to the media. All of that should be part of your plan, okay? And if you don't know that off the top of your head, you should really look at creating a plan and then doing what we call a tabletop exercise, where you put the executive team around a conference table and someone runs them through a scenario, and you test, do we really know what we're going to do? Does this plan really work? Those are things that people should be doing, right? Cyber hygiene in place, the basics of blocking and tackling, make sure your employees are trained, and then also make sure you have an incident response plan. You know who you're calling first and that you've tested the plan.
I like that. So the moral of the story is a cyber hygiene plan.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Ed, for joining us today with all this great insight. We look forward to sharing more insights with you on our next episode of The Alternative Route.